The myth of the Socratic method. Introduction to the sophist and the statesman. If you want to know a thing, you go to the thing itself and investigate it. If you want to know stories about a thing, plenty of people will tell you stories. The stories about a thing are not the thing of which it is the story. Stories of a thing are not knowledge of the thing. So, if you are an infant, you argue by pointing to those who spin stories. There is no difference between, by Einstein's theory of condoms, and my mommy told me I would go blind. If you are an adult, you examine things, in of themselves. That is one reason I have attempted marriage 4 times. If a person does not have a soul, they may never learn how to be a soulmate. Soul means mind, that which gives life to the body. People can rob you of your body, but they cannot steal your soul. Information processing is a science, yet today so-called professionals only know mythology, stories which they love to repeat, with all of the childish interactions involved. Educational systems today do not even teach people how to change their own diapers. I have always said, if you cannot say something simply, you simply do not know what to say. Therefore, in a single sentence, I will say, the Socratic method is the only method by which you learn how to give and keep your word. In short, any method which shows you how to use the principles of information processing based on provable logic and math, is the Socratic method. As your computer is attempting to show you, all information is processed using binary. The Socratic term for binary is very ancient and is dialectic. It means speech is in accordance with the 2 elements that you can name of anything. A thing has limits, aka form, shape, etc., and it has some material within that form. Now, if you are a child, you claim that there are more parts of speech than 2. You ignore the definition of a thing as being a relative within correlatives, that is, material in some shape, and claim that there are mystical differences about things you can name. Consequently, you are incapable of making plain and simple distinctions, even when your computer is showing you every day how to do it. Language is universal and intelligible while grammar is particular and perceptible. Therefore, grammar is the methods of managing the information provided by the language of the universe, of things. Now if you understand this, you automatically know that what you learned as common grammar were children's stories, a case of the blind leading the blind, people claiming to know, and claiming the ability to teach, what they provably have never known, exactly like children. Every computer ever made can process information in what Socrates called this dialectical method, speech in accordance with the elements of a thing which can be named. In short, it is easily provable that there are 2, and only 2, parts of speech. Today, it is called binary information processing, and your computer tells you every time you use it, it is the only method there is to process information because you can only name the 2 parts of a thing, that is, based on the simple idea of off, on, off, or what is said to be a relative within correlatives. If you can find more parts of a thing other than its shape and material, then you can disprove the very same grammar you were made to think by, the very same math, the very same physics which determines your existence, is true. That is, you can prove your own non-existence, which has actually become a fad among madmen, or children often called simpletons. Simpletons actually believe, if you change the material difference, you invent new systems of grammar. Someday, maybe, the meaning of the expression, language is universal and intelligible, will actually meet with an intelligent mind. All logical and mathematical operations performed in grammar are methods of information parsing, they are not the material being parsed. Grammar is the art of information processing in order to construct things which aid us in our mastery of the environment. Unlike Hollywood children, 1 + 1 does not change the fact that 1 + 1 = 2 because in one case we count chickens and the other picoseconds. So, when you hear, there are some places in the universe, where 1 + 1 definitely does not produce 2. Laugh, Because the only place that happens in the universe is in a defective computational system, even the human mind, or the Einstein handicap. Judgment is the results of the ability to give and keep your own word. Giving and keeping your own word is a biological imperative. It is the method by which we maintain and promote life. It is a method we use to combine and effect effective social behavior. It is the method by which someday we become masters of our ecosystem. It is, as we are an information processor, the only power we can ever know or ever have. Mankind has never produced a correct grammar book used to socially teach anyone how to give and keep their own word, that is, has never been aimed at teaching anyone how to be civil, or how to judge right from wrong. Who is to judge right from wrong? You are, the moment you agreed upon using grammar for social discourse, the moment you said that you would no longer be like a savage animal, a promise you never thought about and very rarely thought about keeping. Imagine that. Mankind has been trying to form a civilization for thousands of years, and still has not learned that in order to create a civilization, you simply have to learn how to give and keep your own word. Claiming that you are intelligent does not make it so. That which cannot master its own behavior can never master the behavior of anything at all, simply because language is identical, grammar is identical, when applied to anything. Binary recursion always produces a binary result. So, the test of being human, and not like lower animals, is simply the ability to give and keep our word. Have you ever, in your whole life, seen or heard of any educational institution in the world today, whose sole aim is to teach you how to give and keep your own word, that is, it taught you literacy? Or did they teach you to be a respecter of persons, like an animal who looks toward an alpha animal? Like a child asking its mother what to do? Did it teach you that you have many masters, and are the slave of many, instead of a slave to reason, something not human at all, something you were born to use to maintain and promote life? As a wise man said, we are born like any other animal, but we do not become human until we are born of the intelligible, born again. Unlike other animals, we have to be born twice, in order to become what we are meant to be. No illiterate person can be said to have been born again. We can prove our words, for if we cannot, we are like any other animal. So, despite what you hear all the time, you are not educated because another child gives you a piece of paper. You are educated when you know what you are, why you are, and how to do your own work like any other life support system. That can be objectively proven. Plato outlined definition, how to define things moving up and down the ladder of agreements, called definition by division, or simple logic, the art of names. The one art nobody teaches, but sometimes piles of gibberish, is called logic by those who actually believe that they can reinvent grammar with different symbols and more obtuse magical incantations. The sophist uses the perceptible, and the statesman the intelligible identity. Plato was teaching grammar, which means, if you know what grammar is, he was using, throughout his dialogues, the Socratic method, dialectic also known as binary information processing. Plato also gave his readers plenty of hints, that one could use geometry as a metagrammar to proof your own words, a hint also given in the Bible. Binary recursion can only produce a binary result. You may not think about it, may not ponder it, may not recognize it, because you really are still much like the lower animals, even bugs. To eliminate some confusion, a directive in grammar is not a binary process. It is a method of asking what to do with particular result. Directives are used today to pervert computer results. Common in AI directives is an assertion which often violates processing, and that is the principal reason why computers often crash. If you are human, you recognize that you have your work cut out for you. Humanity today is still the expression of children, that has to change. Children have to learn, it is their responsibility to clean up their own mess. We are children of Earth, time to set examples. Logic and math function by definitions, not directives. If you were capable, you should have realized this as a child in public schools, as I did. No real grammar is the product of directives, but of definitions. When you understand that, then you understand why there are only 4 categories of grammar, called our grammar matrix, common grammar, arithmetic, algebra and geometry. A child is fascinated by thinking that by the power of their infantile mind, they can create languages and grammar systems, only limited by their lack of imagination. As the principles of information processing is how to parse information, as determined by the information itself, and there is no material difference created or destroyed by parsing, axiomatics, the claim that mystical incantations are required for a formal system, is just another child's myth. You cannot possibly parse the parse. In geometry, you can produce visual paradigms to demonstrate all of the principles of information parsing. All you have to do, is exactly what you can do, is simply name them. How you write a grammar is not by any axiomatic agreement, it's simply by convention. No result of an admission is axiomatic, it is the result of grammar effected in binary. So, in conclusion, one should realize that all of information processing is the product of logic, arithmetically, 0 and 1, simply called assertion and denial. From this all of mathematics and reasoning is produced. It is not produced by the imagination of the mentally simple-minded. If it is 0, then it is a noun. If it is 1, then it is a verb, or again, a simple social agreement about 2 names. Therefore, logic is also called judgment. All of information processing is then the art of judgment. As far as I know, there is only one work in history which clearly states, mankind will not become the masters of the earth, until they learn judgment, that is, logic. Look ma, no axiomatics, simply a mind in agreement with the universe or again, objective reality. Every system of grammar is either demonstrably constructed logically, or illogically. There is no bullshit allowed claiming that it is based on imagination. Judgment Day is the end of man's childhood. It is the day mankind starts to actually work in order to survive. Therefore, one can take the sophist and the statesman as introductory concepts in information processing or the basic powers of reasoning, logic or judgment. The Socratic method is simply the method used by Socrates, so, use all the infantile character assassinations, or sycophantic praise you like, it is just plain, provable, logic. Logic, if you stop to actually think, is the art of binary recursion. One simple method which allows for human unity is factually, and biologically well defined. There is, as written, one and only one science, and your computer has demonstrated it, logic or judgment, the ability to give and keep your own word. Logical recursion can only produce a logical result. Claiming any need to use grammar to justify grammar is obviously a mental malfunction. You are either capable of judgment, or not. Judgment is the most fundamental mental process possible.
False words are not only evil in themselves, but they infect the mind with evil. Phaedo by Plato,